unlisted link on my channel, and I'll figure it out later. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Movies and Nonsense. I actually looked up what episode it is, and it is episode 20 here on the JBuck Studios channel. I have a fun episode planned. You know, this is coming out on May the 4th, Star Wars Day. I got a couple characters here with us. We're going to be talking about Star Wars. We're going to be talking about their channels. We're going to be talking about movies, and then obviously nonsense. But the two people I have here right now, you know, they're great friends. I mean, I've been on one of their channels quite a bit, and then just on their podcast this last week. We have Ryan O'Toole and Colin Williams. How you guys doing?
Doing good, man. How are you doing? Just quarantining, working for some. I'm an essential employee, so I'm working full time. Haven't had a day off in a week, and so I'm just.
I've had too many days off. I think I've had too many days.
Yeah,
I am working from home, but it feels like I'm just chilling, and I'm getting out of my routine. I'm eating way too much fast food. I need to get back on the grind. I'm doing good.
I've been cheating. I got to get back on the grind. Got to take a 10-lap walk around my neighborhood. Got to get in shape and stuff. Yeah. Quarantining, it does stuff to you.
Okay, so Ryan, you've just been kicking ass. Ryan, you've been kicking ass at work. Colin, you've been working from home. Have you put on anything aside from shorts or sweatpants?
No, I've been wearing the same. I've been wearing shorts I'm wearing now for I'm pretty sure the entire 10 weeks this has been going on.
The whole 10.
I'm being serious. I've washed them probably like 3 times and just put them back on.
I feel you. I've been wearing these same exact shorts for almost a week. So
yeah, I just put them on. There's nothing. I'm not going anywhere. What am I gonna wear?
Exactly.
What am I trying to show off?
Especially since you said you're getting food, and they're obviously probably
just what am I gonna do? Dress up for my girlfriend? Like, I mean,
dress up.
Who does that?
Yeah.
Oh man, but yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining me for this. Obviously, viewers that are new to maybe your guys' content and stuff. I was over on your podcast, Falling for Film, last week, or maybe it was a week and a half ago.
A couple episodes ago.
A couple episodes ago. We will get into that podcast in a little bit, but I kind of want to just, people on my channel are maybe new to seeing your guys' faces, hearing the name Ryan O'Toole, Colin Williams, maybe they're not too familiar with you guys' content. So kind of just, give a quick, maybe pitch of, what your channel is, and then we'll maybe get into kind of like how it started and stuff like that. Like Ryan, we can start with you. Kind of what's your channel all about?
Well, my channel's all about I do movie reviews, just like you, Jared, just like you, Colin. I've been on YouTube for 4 years now. I started back in January of 2016, just starting with movie reviews. Then I explored the world of ranking videos for Sean Chandler. And then I did some trailer videos in the past. I don't do trailer reactions anymore. I just find them, just a way to get views. And I just do other videos as well. And I've been doing it for 4 years now. I've met Jared through this. He's been one of my good pals. I've had him on my channel a good amount of times.
And I will say I still remember it. You were the first person, I guess, in the community to comment on one of my videos. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. Yes. I subscribed to Jared a couple of years ago, and then I met Colin for the first time as well. And then I reached out to him, be a part of my podcast and stuff. And so here we are now.
Mm-hmm. Colin, what about you? How long? Because you were on YouTube for a little bit, and then you kind of went away. And then
I have a little bit more of an interesting story. So speaking of podcasts, this podcast, Ryan and I's podcast, my channel started as a podcast. It was called the Reel to Reel podcast, and I had guests. I had Adam Does Movies on. I had Sean Chandler as a guest at one point. And then I just kind of but I was jealous of what people were doing on YouTube, coming up with these really clean edited videos, looking really cool with some graphics and ranking screens and lots of categories, and just the way it was edited looked a lot of fun. So I was like, I'm going to transition over to a YouTube. I'm going to forget the podcast. I want to talk about movies in more of a short form and not this like long podcast format and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I went and switched over did that. And I definitely was more successful doing that. I did see more growth there, but I was doing for more the video essay style, like kind of behind the camera work, doing stuff that's not really my personality. I'm more of a talking kind of guy, not very sophisticated and analytical. I can get analytical if I really wanted to. So then I rebranded in January, which is kind of basically the launch of my channel, because when I was doing quote unquote the reel to reel movie show, no one really knew that. Like, people that follow me now probably weren't subscribers then, you know? So basically the people that know me probably don't even know about that, like, a second life I had. So to speak. So once I rebranded to Colin Williams, just my name's a familiar face, like what you do, Jared, what you do, Ryan, what a lot of the other people do, something simple, and it's worked fabulously, honestly. And since I launched in January, I'm almost at 500 subscribers. A lot of like smaller YouTubers kind of around my experience level, or I'm sorry, actually not my experience. People have been, a lot of them going a lot longer, and they have around the same growth I have. I'm not saying that to brag or anything. I'm just saying I'm seeing encouraging growth, which makes me want to keep going, which is exciting. So, and then of course with Ryan reaching out for me to do the podcast with him, it's been a great opportunity to meet Jared and some other people along the mix that I wasn't previously contacting with. So that's kind of just the start of, you know, how I started this channel. And so far in this kind of rookie year of 2020, it's been going well, honestly.
Oh yeah, you picked a great year to start, I guess, because you have plenty of time. I mean, I know you're working a decent amount at home, but man, we have us as content creators. I mean, Ryan, you're working, you're putting your life on the line out there, doing all that, but you know, there's plenty of time to kind of create stuff. But no, thank you guys for kind of, you know, giving a quick backstory or outline of your channels and stuff. I'm curious though, how or why did you guys want to do this? You know, Colin, you mentioned you started with a podcast. Ryan, you started with movies. Like, was it kind of, just let me know, was it a love for film and you're like, I need to talk to other people? Or did you watch something else and were like, I could do that?
Well, so I guess I'll kick this off. So podcasting was like the growth of people. Like, people start exploring podcasting this year. I know Sean and Griffin do a podcast, Zach and Ren do a podcast, and I've always wanted to do a podcast on my channel. I just haven't had the time or like the passion to do one. And just this year, it was one of my goals this year. One of my 2020 goals was to start up a podcast. And so now with everything going on, I just figured now would be the time to start up a podcast. And so I basically was looking for a co-host, someone that was consistent, someone who loved movies, and someone I could talk with. And so I found Colin Williams. And I also considered someone else for the position. I also considered Durbin for the position, Jay Vader's as well, my good buddy on YouTube. And I just found Colin, and I seen Colin's videos before, and I just loved all his videos. I think he's a great YouTuber, and he'd be perfect as a co-host. And so I reached out.
It's going really well too, so I'm glad we made that decision. He made that decision.
Yes, and I'm like, this guy's been in podcasting before, and I need someone with podcast experience, and so I chose Colin. And so we have great chemistry. You know, we've done 7 episodes. We just filmed episode 7, so it drops tomorrow, and it's going really well.
Great.
And I guess I'll go next. Is that
kind of. I mean, kind of even. I mean, Ryan kind of covered the podcast, but like even the start of, you know, you said you started with the reel to reel channel, which is like a different life or whatever. But what got you into the YouTube sphere, I guess?
The big thing for me is just people around me like didn't love movies as much as I did. And that was kind of the thing though. It was like, just, my dad's a pretty big movie buff, but that was kind of the only person I connect with, but he's not going to movies. He's more like, has seen the older stuff, and it's, you know, he's always constantly recommending movies to me, which is great. Especially since I started the channel, I've seen an effort from my family to, like, my mom will call me, oh, I need a movie recommendation on Netflix. You know, her or my stepdad are about to watch a movie. So they go to me. I'm the go-to guy. My brother, I mean, one thing we can connect about is football. We love college football because that helps us out. But it's something that I've kind of struggled, and it's nothing like a bad thing in our relationship or anything, but we just can't connect in that way with movies because he doesn't like movies. He doesn't watch them very often. So I was just always around my inner circle and my friend group and whatnot. I never really had anybody to talk about movies, and I always loved it more than I even thought I did, especially with starting this YouTube channel. I love movies way more than I originally thought I did. Like I always watched them, and then I was like, I'm going to movies like every week, and then I'm like looking, and then I'm like nonchalantly watching like Jeremy Johns and the Schmoes. Back when I was in high school, I'm like, wait a minute, I watch movie reviewers now. Like, what's happening? And it was like kind of this weird thing. I was like, man, I really like doing this. So it was just to connect with people like-minded to me, but also have different movie opinions. And to be honest, it's been like I've kind of, I guess, rebranded it, so to speak, in January. It's been one of the best few months of my life as far as connecting with people. I mean, I met Ryan, I've met you, Jared. I've met a bunch of other like small YouTubers that have just reached out, said like, I love your videos. So it's really cool. And then you do like stuff like live streams. People like you didn't even know were fans of you, and like I'm such a small YouTuber, and people are commenting on your stuff saying like they love your content, and you're able to connect with people and stuff and care about the art as much as you do. So that was just always a really cool aspect of this, that I was really itching for that opportunity, and I've got, my expectations have been more than fulfilled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm so glad you brought up the whole live aspect, because 2020, this is kind of the year that I kind of put more live stuff into motion, I guess. I mean, Ryan, I know that you did a lot of channel updates, you did a lot of Ask Me Anythings, with your brother over on your channel, and I guess I was just nervous about live stuff. But now, once you get it, you get a taste of it. It's so much more. I mean, doing videos and doing podcasts, that's great, but getting that almost instant feedback, talking with your fans, it feels so good.
Yeah, it does feel so good. Absolutely.
Let's go over to, well, you guys said that you kind of had a podcast and stuff. Kind of what's the goal of your guys' podcast? I mean, you're 7 episodes in. What do you see in the future of it, I guess? I mean, it's kind of in the infancy.
That's a good question.
That's a great question.
I'll let Ryan take that one first. It was his idea to start it, so.
Well, basically, the podcast is just all about us, expressing our love for movies and stuff on live streaming and stuff. And it's just basically a podcast expressing our love for movies. And we've pretty much have been doing that so far, bringing in guests as well who also have the same passion we do, that love movies. And we're just branching out. We're just starting out with our first few episodes in. And I think we're kind of still exploring the podcast. We're still trying to nail down what we want the podcast to look like. So we're going to test out the StreamYard stuff, and hopefully that's better. And I think we're just going to keep, growing with this podcast by,
I think that's the goal, is just to learn from doing. The more we do, the more we're going to learn from it. So
absolutely. Yeah. I'm a rookie when it comes to podcasting. So I'm still learning what it's all about, and learning from my brother and other people who have been on podcasts.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's funny because me and Ryan, we've done 7 episodes so far, and then we've done 1 video together. I don't know if you saw, we did the School of Rock review, which when you were on, and Jared, when you were on the podcast, Ryan.
Yep, that idea was brewing right there.
Yeah, so we were like, you were like you're a part of the origin story for how that video came to be. But my dad watched that video, and he was like, "That was such a great video. You guys have such good chemistry." I was like, "Well, I hope so. We have a podcast."
I hope so.
but it's kind of crazy, like it is insane that Ryan and I never done a video together. We just talked to each other on Twitter, and all of a sudden we're co-hosts on a podcast. We Skyped for the first time like a week before we shot our first episode, and then it's gone. It's going well. We have fun doing it. We look forward to doing it. We text each other like throughout the entire week of like movie news, screenshot and stuff, like reacting to it. So again, this part of the community of being able to talk to people, and now I have a lifelong friend in Ryan, who we have a podcast together. And who knows where this journey is going to take us? We could be interviewing Quentin Tarantino in 2 weeks, probably not, but maybe.
Hey, you never know. You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
No, that's the thing. Is like, again, your guys' podcast. It's very fresh. It's very new. I'm curious on where you're going to go, who you're going to get on there, and everything, because like you're saying, the chemistry between you guys, and it's still new. Like, who knows what it's going to be in 10 episodes, 20 episodes, 50 episodes. Like, you guys are going to be just knowing exactly what the other one is thinking, which is going to be creepy and weird. But also
he's already we've already known him. He was saying, like, what I noticed about you, Colin? You like coming of age movies on the last episode.
Exactly.
He would like talk. I won't spoil what happened, but he was talking crap about a movie that I love. And it was a funny moment. But yeah, we're starting to know each other's music taste. I said music for the second time this podcast.
I don't know, man.
Movie taste.
You want to start
It's movie taste.
I think. Hey, I will say I produced one rap song. I produced a rap song. One.
You gotta release it.
I got like the software on my Mac, man, and my brother and his friend were spitting bars, and I just produced it. You know, I just edited it together because I was the only one that knew how to edit and use a microphone. So
yeah, well, that like, I'm so glad you just brought that up. The amount of skills that you've learned,
dude. I'm like a wizard. Bro.
It's so weird, like how to shoot, how to talk, how to edit, how to like all of this stuff that you can essentially use for, I guess, if you went and got a job somewhere. It's like, I know how to do all of this.
Yeah, it is. I've learned so, like, even like the early stages of my channel when I did, like, I know you do it, Jared, when you do like the good and the bad, like for sections of your thing. I do what worked and what didn't work just because I didn't want to stay with the good and the bad.
You didn't want to copy everyone else on YouTube.
Yeah, so I just did like a synonym for and my graphics and how I made that. My first editing software I used is iMovie. So like I had to literally make like 8 videos to make that one graphic, to put like overlays and like some features to it. Finally bought the bullet and got Final Cut Pro so I can do it in one try. But it's a lot of that work I'm putting into it, and like how much I've like become so technologically savvy with what's going on when I wasn't before whatsoever.
Oh yeah. What about you, Ryan? Because you've been doing it for 4 years. Yeah,
I've been doing it for 4 years. My brother edits all my videos, and
he's got a man to do it.
I was gonna say
he's big time.
Like, what if he was gone for like 2 weeks? Do you know how to do it though?
No. Oh God, no.
Oh no.
No, that's the thing. Yeah,
you don't know how to. If you put a video into like whatever software you don't want to know how to edit it.
Yeah, I've never edited a video before. Pretty much.
Oh my goodness.
Everything you see.
Knock on wood, man.
Knock on wood.
You might have to hire me, bro. Like I'm like.
Oh my god.
I'm your next big thing.
Podcast.
Yeah, I'm the next thing you got, man.
That's crazy, man. I wish I had a second set of hands like that. I'm sure that just helps tremendously, because like, heck, you could go and watch something else or even record your thoughts while he is editing the one prior. Like, that is fantastic.
Well, to me, I wouldn't want anybody to do it. I don't care if they're the greatest editor in the world, because I'm like a control freak when it comes to my content. Yeah. Like, and that's what's been kind of a little bit of a challenge, even with the podcast, is because it's like, it was Ryan's gig. It's on his channel, and I know my personality. So when he said, he was like, "Oh, I'm thinking about coming on the podcast," I was like, I need you to be in charge, and I'll be your number 2. Yeah. And I'll be your like the second in charge, because if we become equals, then I'm gonna try and be controlling, and I don't want to be that way. So like, even when I edit my stuff, like, I would have to be exactly my way. I'm kind of a perfectionist in that way. I hate saying that because it sounds a little, I don't know, cocky, I guess, but it's kind of true. So,
Colin, I am right there with you. My sister's boyfriend, he does music and stuff like that, and he's like, "Do you think ever, like, if I were to explode, like, would you ever hire someone?" And I'm like, no, because just like a tiny 2-frame thing that I want in there, I'm the only one that knows how to do that, or I'm the only one that knows where that's going to go. Like, it would be great, but I'm very much with you, Colin. I want it my way, and I'm a perfectionist, and that's why, I don't know. I'm weird.
I'm weird like that too. I have to have it a certain way, and that's why I appreciate Ryan. He's been a little bit like more very. We've been able to really bouncy ideas off each other. No one's been closed-minded whatsoever.
Exactly.
Really open to ideas. Like, even just before we started recording, I was like, "Let's start recording our podcast on StreamYard." Like, Jared, he's like, "Yeah, let's do it." You know, we're just really to experiment. You know, so see what works.
No, again, going back to that chemistry, I think you guys are going to work wonderful. And like, you guys are open to ideas, you know, you're not going to be like, no one's going to watch that, you know?
Yeah. When I first started, I immediately said to Colin, "This isn't my podcast. You're my co-host. If you have any ideas, any opinions, I want to hear it, man. If something's not going on, then voice your opinion and stuff." And it's a together podcast.
Absolutely.
And it's going well. I mean, we're smaller YouTubers for sure, But I'm impressed with our listening numbers. Every week we seem to get like around 200 listens a week, which is pretty good. But we only post once a week, and so I'm actually. I mean, that's crazy to think. Like, I mean, it sounds small compared to like these like big YouTubers, but it's like 200 people are listening to just me and Ryan talk about movies. Like, that's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
oh yeah.
yeah,
It's crazy to think about. Like, even if you take that number and it's like that is a packed auditorium of people. Like, it's 200 people. That's insane.
yeah, basically, yeah. That's exactly what's going on.
So enough of that. Let's get into a little thing. I know that you guys mentioned it or touched on your guys' podcast, but this is recent news. I want to talk about it. Some movie news. AMC, Regal, Universal, they're going at each other with blows, saying they can't play each other's movies, or they're going too soon, or it's a big fiasco. What do you guys think of this situation?
Well, at first, me and Colin thought it was stupid, but Colin actually has a pretty good point.
Like, you think AMC is being dumb, or do you think Universal is being dumb?
We talked about it on the podcast, so I'll be somewhat brief. But I mean, I don't really care. I'll just say my feelings.
Yeah, no,
about it.
I don't care.
Okay. But basically, the very first thing I texted Ryan when I found out this news, I said, "Can I curse or no?"
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I text him. I said, "What the fuck? This is the dumbest shit I ever heard." With the news that AMC was going to be blocking Universal's stuff, and so that was my first initial thought. And then I did some research, and I basically and Ryan felt the same way I did at first. And then on the podcast, I was able to kind of change his mind a little bit, because I was able to do some research and look into basically the thing called the theatrical window. And Universal not abiding by the rules when they say things like, "Oh, we might consider movies that go straight to VOD and theaters at the same time, and then we can make money from both services." They automatically disqualify themselves from being in that theatrical window and break that contract with the theaters, and it's going to hurt the theaters. And I think what AMC was just trying to protect their company by saying, like, if we, I don't care if Fast 9 can't play in our theaters. If they do, we're only going to get half the profit anyway, because people are going to rent it on VOD if that's what the Universal decided to do or something. So they were just trying to protect their side, and it was a dumb comment by Universal, in my opinion. I think the companies need to realize they need each other, because the Universal needs a place to play their movies, and then AMC needs movies to be played in their theaters.
Yeah.
So exactly,
it was one of those things where initially I was like, AMC, why would you ban billion-dollar movie franchises from your thing? But then what are they supposed to do? Like, they've got to threaten Universal somehow, because Universal can't do whatever they want. They got to abide by the rules that is set up, like, that are set for these industries. So yeah.
It's definitely like this weird symbiotic relationship where, sure, Universal can go, they can make $100 million on Trolls World Tour, but you're gonna make $1 billion for Fast 9 in the theaters worldwide. Are you gonna make $1 billion on VOD?
No.
Probably not.
They do pay less to the iTunes and Amazon Prime, but then people are what they're gonna do is it's gonna be $20, and then we'll invite 10 of our friends over. Of course, you can't really do that now because of the lockdown. But so maybe they'll make a profit, because like freaking me and Ryan, who are just the singles, will be paying $20 to rent a movie. So they might make a good chunk of change then.
Yeah,
I paid $20 to see Trolls World Tour.
Yeah, I did not do that. He's a brave
You are
soul.
a dedicated fan, Ryan.
Yeah, he's a dedicated fan. I'm not. I didn't go that far.
Yeah, Colin's just like, I'm not that person at all. If I don't want to see a movie, I won't.
If I don't want that, I will abide by that to the day I die. If I don't want to see a movie, I'm not going to see a movie.
I'm like,
sorry to my subscribers.
Yeah.
So.
I'm kind of curious, because again, who knows how long this is going to go. At first, I was totally against AMC because I thought they were being childish, but it does make sense. But I guess the thing is, if maybe 5, 10, 20 years, like AMC goes under, like, do you see that happening, or do you see movie theaters being around forever?
Well, that's a different question. Movie theaters in general, but with AMC, that brand is so big that even if they're financially tanking right now, they'll be able to get investors because their stock's lower. I'm not speaking financially here, but like they're going to be able to. they have enough
finances.
They have enough clout, so to speak. So I'll talk a little bit more in internet terms. They have a lot more clout than you would think, despite financially they're tanking right now. To where their brand, they're going to be able to get loans and investors and stuff to kind of lift them above, water, so to speak. But as far as I think the only thing holding theaters together right now is one, the big movies, Avengers Endgame and stuff like that.
Marvel.
And two is people like us that want to go to the theaters and appreciate the movie theater experience. Because no offense, but my dad, my mom, my brother don't give a crap about the movie theater experience. The much we talk about it, they don't give a crap about the movie theater experience. They don't care.
Yeah.
So why so us mattering basically means nothing, because we make up like less than 1% of the population, like the cinephiles.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing. I mean, before I get into my thing, Ryan, do you have anything to add on top of that?
Yeah, I pretty much said as long as the superhero films like Marvel and all that are still around, theaters are going to be open. So they make money. They make tons of money because of those movies. So I think within the next 20 years, those theaters will be open. But I do think those streaming service stuff like Netflix, those are like the future.
Well, the theater business is a really razor thin margin business. They make very little money. And you think that's kind of crazy because they're in this huge, buildings and stuff like that. They make it strictly off concession, and that's why we know it's so expensive. So it's a tough business, honestly. And you want one that you root for sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the thing is, like, I think that the studios and the theaters should work together, because it's a thing. It's like, oh my gosh, did you hear about X movie? We need to go see it in the movie theater because people are talking about it. Like, again, like you guys had mentioned, Colin, I think you did, we're the very small group. We're very loud because we're on Twitter, we're film Twitter, all that stuff, but we make up a very small amount of the actual box office. So it's kind of those casual fans, or, just the everyday people. My mom and dad, I don't think they've gone to a movie in 20 years. Like, once I old enough to go by myself, they were like, okay, we're out.
I think the last movie I saw with my mom was Wonder Woman in 2017. And then the one before that was the Beauty and the Beast remake. That's it.
The last one I went with my parents was Endgame. I saw it opening night with my stepdad and my brother and my friend Cedric, and I also went with my mom as well. I basically went 3 times.
Damn, you brought the whole family.
I saw Endgame 6 times, and one of them was with my dad. My dad, my brother, and my little cousin, we all saw it together. And my brother, I had already seen it with him opening night and like a bunch of friends. But I saw it 6 times, so I was able to. I was like recruiting my mom too, but she didn't want to come. So.
Well, and also
another reason I picked Colin is because he's just like me. He has a brother that doesn't watch a lot of movies. He has parents as well that don't watch.
But I think we discovered that once we already started.
This is why we relate. This is why
we relate.
Yeah.
One thing I will say, the theater close by me, Colin, you mentioned the concessions. I think on Friday and Saturday, I think it is, they're selling popcorn, or at least I'm assuming they are, because there's like 30 to 40 cars lined up every weekend night now. And I'm like, well, you're not playing theater, you're not playing movies. What are you guys doing? And I think they're selling popcorn. So
that's least funny that they're able to make some money. Yeah. I know, Meg. Like some of the local restaurants that are just strictly doing takeout. Some of them are selling groceries. Like around my place, they're selling just burger patties and buns and vegetables and stuff, like, because they're not selling as much. So that's working smarter, not harder. So.
It is.
Exactly.
Okay. I have some more questions for you guys at the end, but let's get into kind of the main topic. Again, this is posting on May the 4th, Star Wars, crazy enough, Star Wars. I think it's safe to say all 3 of us are Star Wars fans. Can you confirm, deny?
What are these? Are those Star Trek movies?
Those are Star Trek movies. Look at those.
Considering
Star Trek The Force Awakens.
Well, considering the last Star Wars movie that came out, I hated with the passion. I think I might decommit pretty soon, but I'm hanging in there.
Ooh,
I'm hanging in there.
It ruined my childhood.
No, I didn't say that. It did not ruin my childhood because I still have the original trilogy and a couple of other films I still like. Actually, Jared, before we get started, I do want to tell you.
Great!
I got to brag. I just got
brag time. Let's hear it.
I got the original trilogy on Blu-ray, the despecialized edition.
Well, wait, they have the despecialized ones?
Yeah.
I got to send you guys both the link.
Send me the link, please.
It's only $30 for all 3 movies, the despecialized cut of the films. Yeah.
That's a good set to have.
It was like
great.
my favorite Blu-ray. It's amazing. A New Hope is so good on it, dude. It's so
Must
good.
be great to not see some creature's ass walk on the screen, right?
You didn't like that?
No.
Talking about the despecialized versions. The first question I want to talk about or ask you guys, what is your first exposure that you remember of Star Wars?
I have a kind of an interesting
story
to this. Okay, so obviously grew up like little kid, like really little. I didn't know what Star Wars was, obviously, because you're not just born out freaking Star Wars.
Star Wars.
I didn't like get out of the womb and just start immediately like doing lightsaber battles.
Cut your way out.
My mom. Yeah, I cut my way out with a lightsaber. I was a diehard fan. But basically, what happened was when I was younger, the first two prequels had already came out. So like Attack of the Clones was out, and it came out on DVD, and I never really knew. I maybe kind of have heard of Star Wars, but I didn't really know what it was. And my dad, you know how when you get like, I don't know, we're not married and have kids yet, but my dad was telling me when you get married and you have kids, you're like in your own little bubble and you have no idea what's going on in the outside world. And of course, this was before the internet too, so he didn't even probably know a new Star Wars movie was coming out, even though he loved the original trilogy when he was little. So then we're at the store and he sees the DVD for Attack of the Clones, and he's like, "Oh, there's new Star Wars films? Like, what's going on?" And he sees it, and he's not knowing, oh, this is episode 2. He doesn't really understand like everything that's going on. Like, oh, this is episode 2, and these are the prequels, and this is like the story of Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker. He bought it, and he was like, "What is like?" He thought Jango Fett was Darth Vader. He's like, "What is going on?" Like, it's like
that would have been
so the first Star Wars film, which ironically is my least favorite Star Wars film, was Attack of the Clones. Didn't understand the timeline or anything like that, and he's like, "All right, I have no idea what's going on. We're gonna watch the original trilogy." So it was on Spike. They had a marathon, so they would do like episode 1 the one day, then the next day episode 2. And he finally figured it out. So he literally wrote it down. He's okay, number 1, Phantom Menace. Okay, this is the first in the one, but the 4th film. Like, okay, no, Attack of the Clones. Okay, it's the 5th film, but second. He was like doing all the research. He like finally figured out. Literally wrote it down, put it in my room for me so I can remember. And then it was crazy is because obviously like I'm a prequel kid, but I love the original trilogy way more. I don't know if it's because my dad hyped it up more, but and he was always like, yeah, Empire is like the best. I was like, okay, this better be good. And I was like blown away. Like when I found out Luke was like, or Darth Vader was Luke's father, I was like lost. I was like, he's lying. There's no way. And
what?
So like this is kind of a long-winded answer, but it's a really interesting story to how I get into Star Wars. And then it's kind of funny now. My dad, like he's watched all the new ones, but he doesn't really care all that much anymore. So he's just kind of like, doesn't really didn't really care about the Mandalorian or anything. I'm like, you got me into Star Wars, and now you won't talk about Star Wars with me. He's like, yeah, the originals are good, but the rest of them kind of suck. I'm like, all right, whatever. So, but that's my really weird introduction to Star Wars. Seeing Attack of the Clones first, and somehow I still became a fan. So that's a true fan right there.
That's fat.
That's interesting.
That again, you're living in your own bubble, or your dad was, and then just completely like walking through a store, I'm sure, and was like, "There's more of these movies. What's going on?"
He had no idea. The first, the Phantom Menace made $1 billion. No idea that came out.
Crazy. Ryan, what about you? What's your first exposure you remember?
Well, my first exposure to Star Wars was when I was a little kid. I was in my house, basically running around all the time. And then my granddad was a huge Star Wars fan. He had all the VHSs to all the Star Wars films, and he was watching A New Hope on VHS. And then I saw it, and I was just really cool. Like, oh, cool, spaceships and all that. I didn't know who Darth Vader was. I saw a black hooded figure with a cape, but I didn't know Chewbacca or Han Solo or Leia or Luke are. So I basically was watching and stuff. So I saw little bits and pieces of A New Hope. Never really got into those films when I was a little child. But basically, I got into the prequels a little bit. I saw a little bit of Phantom Menace and a little bit of Attack of the Clones, so I watched them. And I was like, oh, cool. That's fun. That's fun.
Mhm.
And then I really got into them when I was in my teenage years. And so the first film I actually watched was Empire Strikes Back, which became instantly my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah, didn't look back.
It is, and it's still my favorite movie of all time. So I watched Empire first, and then I watched A New Hope. Then I watched Return of the Jedi. Watched the original trilogy, loved it, amazing trilogy. Then got into the prequel films, and not like in Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and then Revenge of the Sith. It was good. It was actually the only good prequel film.
I've actually been softer on the Phantom Menace of lately. Attack of the Clones is the one I just don't ever want to watch. But Phantom Menace, I'm like, there's some good parts, but some bad.
Yeah,
too.
I've never seen the prequels in theaters, so I was really exposed.
The first Star Wars movie I saw in theaters was Force Awakens.
Force Awakens, yes.
Yeah,
Force Awakens was the first Star Wars film I've seen. Big sold out theater. IMAX was.
Oh, I have another funny story about the Force Awakens. So I saw the Force Awakens with half a haircut because I don't know if you guys can see, but I have really thick, voluptuous locks, you know.
Yeah. Ooh.
And
like the Adam Daly.
So my friend, he used to cut my hair because like he would just do it for free, and he was like did good. He was like an artist, so he was like good with like being symmetrical and crap. I don't know. And so he like started. So he was cutting my hair, and we're gonna see Force Awakens later that day. I was like in high school. And he was like, "Yeah, we're gonna see Force Awakens," and he was cutting my hair, and then the razor like died, and then we didn't get to finish my haircut. So I was like, "Oh well, I'm don't care, bro. It's Star Wars. I've been waiting for 10 years." So I just put on a hat, and I went and saw Star Wars with half of the side of my hair, half of it shaved, the other half not. So that was a pretty fun experience, and it was a really great movie experience. Besides itching the entire time. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
but cheering in the opening crawl and then crying, nearly seeing. I'm seeing a Star Wars movie, a good Star Wars movie. Last Jedi, great experience as well. I love the movie. A lot of the audience didn't.
I saw The Last Jedi in New York. Taylor, my girlfriend and I, we went to New York for my birthday. And I saw The Last Jedi in New York, and I've had problems with the film now, but not gonna lie, I actually loved the theater experience of The Last Jedi.
Yeah, and then Rise of Skywalker, I was dull. I was just bored.
I felt nothing. I felt nothing. Everything that happened. Everybody bringing in the cavalry. This person's related to this person. This is that. I'm like, nothing.
This was the first time in a theater everybody was just dead. Ray, you are a Palpatine.
It's like crickets.
The only time people clap was the opening crawl.
Ray Skywalker. Everyone leaves. So
I don't know. I don't know. I think that later that movie's gonna grow on me again. That the theater experience for that was not. Well, that's that. I don't know. I did not like The Last Jedi, and and now it's kind of grown on me. So who knows? I mean, I love Star Wars in general.
Yeah,
so.
I've been hot and cold with The Last Jedi. It's like, oh my god, I loved it, and then I was like, ooh, the Cannabite. Some of the it's okay. I was gonna say like some of the wokeness. I was like, I don't know. And then I was like, okay, now see the Return. Rise of Skywalker. And I'm like, oh, all right. Last Jedi is like way better than that.
I was kind of cold on Solo. I just felt nothing watching that whole movie. I'm like,
I had fun with it. I had such low expectations for Solo. To when I watched it, I was like, I was like, okay. And then Rogue One came out, and I loved Rogue One. That was Rogue One was great.
Great film. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, some of my theater experience for that, like Rogue One was awesome. Solo, I was really turned off because I went to, I wouldn't say the bigger, like upscale theater. I went to one that's kind of like a dine-in one. And I think that the projector was just bad because the opening where it's, that giant worm lady and lady whatever, it was so dark. You're probably
not alone. That scene's just kind of weirdly lit. I think that's kind of what it is. But yeah, it was funny you guys said that Rogue One was a great theater experience. I had a horrible Rogue One theater experience. And what it was is I just said I loved the movie. When I first saw it, I hated it. I hated Rogue One when I first saw it. It's
that.
It's the only Star Wars film that I've completely switched my views on.
Really?
I went from hating it to loving it. Literally, I was like, because The Force Awakens was probably more exciting, more nostalgia, bringing characters and stuff. And I was like, yeah, Star Wars back. And then the very next year, you're like, yeah, Rogue One. I'm like, this is dull. And then the action was kind of cool at the end, and the Darth Vader scene was obviously freaking awesome. So that was like my big takeaway. But then I was sitting next to people that weren't loving it either. So I think them kind of like whispering and kind of making fun of it, like I think kind of diminished my point of view too.
Yep.
And then I finally rewatched it leading up to the Rise of Skywalker with my girlfriend, and we both loved it. It's actually one of her favorite Star Wars movies. It was the first time she had seen any Star Wars film, so
that's awesome.
I guess the true fact is the people who hate Star Wars most are Star Wars fans.
That's a fact. That's fact.
That is 100% fact. Before we move on to our other thing, my experiences for kind of just the theatrical, like my first one theatrical, I remember. I don't know if it was Attack of the Clones. I think it was Revenge of the Sith. Like I remember we went to like my family. We went to like a wedding reception or baby. I don't know. We went to something, and then they're like, "If you guys be quiet for the next hour, we'll take you to Star Wars." And we were all like, "Oh my gosh, we're gonna go to Star Wars! Yay!" So that was I think first theatrical one. But yeah, I think as a child, my parents, they weren't big fans of. They knew what Star Wars was. But every time we went to the VHS or video rental place, I always was like, we're watching Star Wars tonight. Like, I don't know how or why the box art, something jumped out at me. And I remember watching,
I don't know.
Yeah, I remember watching the original 3. Like every time we went to go rent a movie, they were like, okay, we're renting one for us because we're going to get a more adult movie, but you kids get to pick one. And it was always Star Wars. So that was kind of like, the original trilogy growing up. Funny experience.
Sorry, go ahead, Jared. I was just gonna say, like, I had the exact same thing when we rent movies. It was just like Star Wars. Like Empire Strikes Back, like it's Ryan's favorite movie. It's like as soon as I saw that, I was like just blown away. I was like, this is cinema. Like,
oh yeah. And the thing is, I think when we were rent them, I think I watched them in opposite order. I think I watched oh my gosh, I'm blanking. Return of the. Oh my gosh, yeah. These names are throwing me off.
Rise of Skywalker.
They're all dumb. If you think about it, they're all kind of dumb names.
Yeah, just say 3, 4, 2, whatever.
Rise of Skywalker.
So yeah, I think I watched them in the reverse
That's the worst
order.
One.
Funny experience now that you bring up Rise or Force Awakens. My God.
Speak, Jared. This is your podcast.
Force Awakens. I remember going and seeing it opening night, and this was right before they made reserved seating. So we had to get there like 2 hours early.
Yep.
So it was an awesome theater experience. I loved it. Star Wars back, very nostalgic and everything. But funny story, because I mentioned it on your guys' podcast, but I went with this girlfriend that I am no longer with now. And at that time, It was this weird, like, are we dating? Are we not dating? Are we dating? Blah, blah, blah. And we were getting food at the food court prior to the movie. And a friend that was her friend, and I kind of knew, like, walked by, and she turned, and I'm like, oh, you're not going to say hi to your friend? And she's like, I don't want her to know I'm with you. And then I had to go sit 2 hours and go watch a movie. So for 2 hours before the movie started, we just sat silently on our phones.
Jeez Louise, man.
So
that
it started off bad, but once that opening crawl and song kicks in, I was just like, this is what I'm focused on.
This is where I'm at. Buy a world.
Yeah.
I'm locked in, dude. Like, I remember when going into, this is a different franchise, but going into Avengers Endgame, the sound cut off during the commercials, and it was for the people from the movie theaters to come in and say like, oh, like we're like giving away free. It was like to give like a free comic book or something, and they were gonna like do some sort of promotional thing, like, oh, we're having this event, And I didn't know that though. And the volume cut off. I was like, oh my god! I'm like always so like locked in, like it's a game day when I'm watching like these big movies.
Yeah,
Come on,
So Endgame was up, and I'm like, bro, if they don't freaking fix the sound before the movie starts, I'm gonna freak out. My girlfriend's like rubbing my like lap. She's like, it's okay. Like she's like,
it's gonna be okay, Colin. They're gonna fix it down.
Colin.
Yeah, I was like freaking out, but then it was all good. They were just promoting the dumb little thing, and we went on with our day. So
Yeah, so I've never, I don't get fully locked into movies very often, usually, but if it's something like Endgame, Infinity War, Star Wars, I'm just like this. Once Infinity War started, bro, I was just like,
oh yeah, no, and that's the thing is like you were like that for 3+ hours. You're like,
yeah, and it kind of just like smacked you in the face the way Infinity War opened. It's just like when Force Awakens started, the people started applauding like crazy. Like it's just great. It's just great.
Before we get into, because we're gonna kind of do a little fun thing. Which one? I mean, you guys kind of mentioned it a little bit. Which one is your favorite film?
Which Star Wars film is it?
Which Star Wars film?
Rise of Skywalker.
the
Ryan,
Clone Wars,
trolling, man.
The Clone Wars animated
The Clone Wars movie that I haven't seen.
Dude,
it's Empire. That's the only.
It's Empire. Yeah. My favorite movie of all time.
I don't want to say it's my favorite movie of all time because Ryan said that, but it's my favorite movie of all time. It's so good, and it's just, to me, the best scene in the history of cinema is the "I love you, I know" scene. I cry every single time. John Williams score, like they're like Princess Leia and Han score. Is just the most beautiful score like ever. That whole scene, just "I love you, I know." It's just like I got like a T-shirt of that. Like I like that scene alone just like makes me love this film. Everything, the opening battle of Hoth. I know, Ryan, that's your favorite battle in the history of Star Wars.
Yeah,
and then just the twist, man. Like the lightsaber battle between Luke and Darth Vader. Just there's little of the movie, and it holds up. Like the effects look amazing. They look amazing for coming out so many years ago. So I love the movie. It's not even close. Yeah. It's really not even close. It's the best Star Wars film. To me, it's the best.
Yeah, I think it's the greatest sequel ever made, and it's also one of the funniest Star Wars films, as well as the most serious Star Wars film. Yeah. I think this movie has a perfect 3-act structure. People say Casino Royale is the perfect. Look at Empire Strikes Back. It's got the best 3-act structure. It's got the Hoth stuff with the Battle of Hoth. The second half is the Dagobah training with Luke and Yoda, and then the final act is all on Bespin Cloud City. It's perfect, and people think the "I am your father" scene is my favorite. It's actually the "I love you, I know" scene.
Yeah,
that's easily my.
And I love what you said about the comedy. What I love about Han Solo, who's my favorite character of all time, is my favorite Star Wars character. Which I guess spoilers for what we're talking about. Yeah, spoilers for what we're talking about later. But and I don't really care because it's just like he's such a great character. What I love about Han Solo, and especially in Empire Strikes Back, is how frustrated he is when other people aren't doing their job. Like in the beginning, he's like, why don't you go look for him? It's getting dark outside. And he's like getting mad at Chewie for like not fixing the Millennium Falcon. He's just constantly working harder than everybody else, but also being so nonchalantly cool. And like he looks so effortless and how like good he is and naturally born leader he is. And that's what I just love about him. And then Harrison Ford being like the sexiest man ever doesn't hurt anything too. So
look at him.
Just look at the guy. He's like the
dude's playing Indiana Jones and Han Solo at the same time, back to back.
Just like that. Yeah, he's like, why don't you go check? It's getting dark outside.
It's getting dark outside.
It's him. This is a funny moment. And Scruffy, who you calling Scruffy?
Are you gonna give me a goodbye kekiss?
Yeah, come on, sweetheart. Oh, sorry.
Come on, Miss Sweetheart. You were gonna give me a goodbye kiss?
Yeah, so great.
No, in the scenes with C-3PO too. You turn.
Never tell me the odds.
I will agree.
Never tell me the odds.
I will agree that one is also my favorite. Attack of the Clones was one that I watched so much. Obviously, it doesn't hold up, but I would always crank up we had, I think, a surround sound system at home. looking at it now, it was just complete crap. But I would always the seismic charges scene from Attack the Clones. I would always crank up the surround system and just scare the crap out of my parents. But Colin, you kind of touched on it a little bit, spoiler. But I thought it'd be fun to just kind of sit down and talk through, or kind of list off our top 5 favorite Star Wars characters, and we're gonna go kind of 5, go through the list that way. And kind of, say why they're our favorite character and this and that. But I thought, when you do these lists, instead of like kicking it or punting it, if like, say, Colin, you have one at 4, I have it at 2, we'll wait and talk about it later. Instead of saying punt it or kick it, let's say we're going to force push it. So we're going to force push it to that later part. If that makes sense. Does that make sense, guys?
Yes, that makes sense.
All right. Ryan, we can start with your number 5.
Oh, I'm scared. Can I go last?
Yeah. You know what? I'll go first.
I'm curious to hear your guys.
Yeah, I'll start. I'll go with first. Number 5, and I think that it's a fairly new character. I think I might need some more time with it, but I think the Mandalorian. I really love.
Ooh, that's a great pick.
Mandalorian,
great pick.
Okay.
Can't believe I didn't think about that.
Yeah, the Mandalorian. I think everything about him. Again, he's kind of this no-name Western, just kicking ass. I love the show. I love everything about the character. But I think the main thing that I really like is I'm into video games, and always in those video games making my character better. And the show, I always kind of compared it to a video game because he's getting new weapons. He's getting new armor. He's getting new upgrades. And that's what I loved about it, is just seeing the progression of almost power in this character. He gets those wrist rockets, he gets a jetpack, he gets this like cool ass shoulder armor and full armor, plus the cinema, like everything about the character is so badass. I know some people maybe have a little bit of problems with the character, but I think that he takes what Boba Fett is and completely just goes way better. Like
not even close. If you think there's no comparison, Mandalorian's a way better character than Boba. Boba Fett's such an overrated character in my opinion,
and he's played by Pedro Pascal, one of the best underrated actors.
Yeah, from Game of Thrones. Yeah,
Oberyn. Rest in peace. You're gone way too soon.
I guess before I even jumped into mine, did either of you guys have the Mandalorian on your list?
No, I didn't.
I did not. I thought we were just doing the movies.
Can we
be biased and put Baby Yoda number 1?
Yeah.
If you want.
Can we do an overrated talk of
overrated Star Wars characters?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, let's get through our top 5, and then we can do a little bit of overrated one. So,
okay,
Colin, let's go with you. What's your number 5?
Number 5 is going to be the only sequel trilogy I ever any sequel talk I have in this entire.
I know who it is.
It's easily the best written character. It's Kylo Ren. That's Kylo Ren.
That's all. Can I also say, Jared? It's also my number 5, Kylo Ren.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, so I guess I'll go first. But yeah, Kylo Ren, I think just if you think about it, let's just take away the prequels at first. Let's just say the original trilogy. The original trilogy. Kylo Ren is given more character development than Darth Vader ever was in the original trilogy. He's given way more character development with the books and the prequels, especially with the whole Anakin Skywalker, everything like him rising to the dark side.
Didn't like sand.
I'm sorry?
Oh, I'm saying you didn't like how Anakin Skywalker didn't like sand?
Yeah.
I don't like sand.
But Kylo Ren, there is some things. If there's some issues with his character, I don't think it's anything having to do with the performance or anything like that. But just easily the most compelling character in the sequel trilogy. And in certain aspects, he's a better villain than Darth Vader. I don't think he is. But in certain aspects, especially with the character development outside of the prequels, I mean, he only got 3 movies to discover this character, whereas, Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader got 6. And heck, maybe even more. Yeah, 7.
Mm-hmm.
And even with like the Clone Wars series and stuff, you get to see more of Anakin Skywalker there. So I think Kylo Ren's just a really well-written character, a bright spot in the sequel trilogy, and also just the only constant, the only thing that like Rian Johnson took from J.J. Abrams is like, okay, I like what you did with that character, I'm going to run with it. And then J.J. Abrams reciprocated that back in The Rise of Skywalker. The only ones where it seemed like both directors agreed upon where to go with this character. There was a little bit of inconsistency here and there, was like sewing the helmet back together, which was really stupid in The Rise of Skywalker. I hate
Dude,
that.
that helmet's badass, bro. I was kind of mad when they crashed the helmet.
But I liked it. But then I like how he's like, get that stupid mask off. Let the past die. Like, you don't need to be a new Darth Vader and stuff.
Mhm.
And then J.J. Abrams like, let's sew it back together.
And the Knights of Ren are standing in the background.
Yeah, so he's my number 5. And Ryan, you have the same one too. So
Yeah, so I have Ben Solo, or AKA Kylo Ren. I agree with everything Colin just said. Kylo Ren is the best character in the sequel trilogy. He holds the sequel trilogy together. He's the most compelling character, the most likable character, the most written character in the whole trilogy. And he's played by one of the best actors working today, Adam Driver.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just tell you that. The roles that man is picking, keep going. Kylo Ren just finding more information about this character. Obviously, when you were going into The Force Awakens, he just looked like another Darth Vader. Just seemed like, okay, we'll see what they do with this character. But once Kylo Ren first came on screen of Force Awakens, he became my favorite in that film. When he killed Max von Sydow with his triple-bladed lightsaber, I was like, I love this character already. And then he freezes Poe Dameron in midair. I'm like, oh my God.
And that's like first 10 minutes.
That's the first 5 minutes of Force Awakens right there. And then just learning more about the character, and then finding out that Han Solo and Leia is his parents, and just the conversations he has with Snoke and with Hux and all these characters, and of course the conversations he has with Rey are some of the most interesting in the whole trilogy. And then just seeing the character more and just giving him an arc. And then in Last Jedi, he really didn't have much of an effect from the Rian Johnson effect. It seemed like Rian Johnson said he's the ultimate bad of this whole trilogy. So they killed off Snoke.
J.J. Abrams like, no, we need another big bad.
No, it's the Emperor Palpatine. Yeah, he's the bad.
Hey, bring back that Jar Jar character.
Yeah, Jar Jar. He's the
Might as well.
I loved his arc in Last Jedi. Just the dialogue scene he had with Rey. Like, let's let the past die. Let's
great defining moment
together.
For him,
And then in Rise of Skywalker, by how much of a mess that movie was, just seeing, Kylo Ren's just arc, just him balancing the dark side, dealing with Emperor Palpatine, and then the scene with him and Ghost Han Solo was my favorite scene in Rise of Skywalker. And then just when he becomes Ben Solo, it felt completely rushed and not earned. And I agree with everybody. Rise of Skywalker should have been 2 movies. It should have been split into 2 parts.
It should have made it, honestly. But
it should. Everything in that movie just felt rushed and not earned.
Well, it was. I hate to jump onto that talk, but it's JJ's 2 movies pushed together.
So yeah, that my number 5 is Kylo Ren. He's easily my number 5.
All right, my number 4, and I have a feeling this is going to be higher on both of your guys' lists. Darth Vader.
Yeah, he's my.
He's
my number 3.
He's my number 1.
Okay, well we're gonna force push him then. So, Colin, what's your number 4?
I'm feeling I have him on you guys' list as well. A character I used to kind of be at the top of my list when I was younger, and then rewatching the original trilogy, you kind of push back, but you can't deny this character, Luke Skywalker.
That's also my number 4.
Okay,
he's not on my list.
Not on your list. Okay, and I can
you guys have a podcast together.
Well, there is some flaw. Yeah. There is some flaws with Luke's character. I think he's kind of a different character in every movie, if you think about it. But he does have a good arc and stuff. And he's just the ultimate hero, not following in his dad's footsteps, which is he fulfilled the destiny that he was given, signed with this task to, save Princess Leia, and just wants to do good and not fall down the path that his father did. And then just even seeing him in Return of the Jedi, he's much more, well, first of all, Empire Strikes Back, he's great too, because very ambitious. Yes, he probably, it wasn't the right thing for him to do to stop his training, but also it was the right thing to do to help his friends. And you could see that inner hero in him. And then in Return of the Jedi, I have a lot of problems with Return of the Jedi, honestly. I think it's a film that I'm not as high on as most people, but he was really, really good character in that film, to where completely trying to turn his dad to his father to the light side. So it's kind of a pretty obvious pick to put him here, but I know Jared, you didn't. So maybe
No, I did not.
Yeah, so I think Luke has one of the best character arcs for sure in Star Wars. Starting off as a brat, Uncle Owen, I was supposed to go to Toss Station and get some power converters. Just seeing his character arc in there, and just his chemistry with all these characters at the start, and Luke just learning everything about the Force and learning about Darth Vader, his father, in Empire Strikes Back, just to be able to kind of balance what it's like just to be a regular person as well as being a Jedi. And just every scene with him and Darth Vader is just why I love Star Wars. And in Return of the Jedi, just his full arc, he's a badass Jedi now, and he's just doing anything possible to get his father to the good side again. And the fact that he made Darth Vader turn good again by killing the Emperor just to save his son. It's just it makes Return of the Jedi more powerful.
Yeah, that's the part I do love about Return.
Yeah, because I wasn't as high on that film before, but then just thinking about that scene, just kind of made
I'm
me
glad I got the despecialized edition too, so where Darth Vader's not saying no.
I hate that. I hate that.
So dumb. It's like George Lucas doesn't. George Lucas knows nothing about visual storytelling. It's like he has to let the audience know exactly how the character. Darth Vader has a mask on, and I was fully capable as like a 10-year-old boy to understand how he was feeling in that scene. You didn't have to say no. Oh, so dumb. But whatever. Let's just pretend that doesn't exist, and we'll watch my despecialized edition because I have one. And
there you go. All right, getting into number 3. I'm curious if you guys have this one. He's obscure. He's weird, and that's why I like him. Bosk.
He's a bounty. I don't have the bounty.
He's the slimy. He's the slimy Trandoshan lizard dude.
He kind of looks like.
Okay, I have a question. Why do people? Because I've seen that character and like people saying, "Oh, underrated Star Wars characters" or whatever. How can, unless you've read some sort of book or seen some sort of something, how can that be one of your favorite characters if he doesn't even say any lines?
I just like the fact of that the way he looks. He's a freaking lizard dude wearing a spacesuit.
He kind of looks like.
See, like I could never like.
Remember when Darth Vader's interviewing those bounty hunters, Colin, and then he goes right to Boba Fett. No, Fazingro.
Yeah.
He's basically that dog. He's basically that dog guy.
That was the coolest moment for Boba Fett because you're like, ooh, something like this guy's like a total badass, and then we see him basically do nothing the rest of the way. But
basically
whatever.
bitch out and fall into it. But the reason I like Bosk is because, again, it's just slimy lizard weird dude. I play as him every time I can play as a hero character in Battlefront 2 because he is just a lizard dude. He has heat vision. He has this grenade launcher. Like, it's just, I think, a combination of all of those things. I know that he's also a little bit in the cartoons or Clone Wars. I think he pops up. And maybe Rebels. I know that he's mentioned in Solo. Colin, I completely understand what you're saying. He doesn't do anything. I just think that he's cool looking, and that's why I liked him. That's why I put him on my list.
So that's funny because I just like that's cool that you do that. Like, I mean, I guess it doesn't take much to get you into bed, man. Like, it's like it's just like, oh, that's cool. It's like over here, like, you have me figured out. You gotta wine and dine me a little bit, if you know what I mean. You know, it's like, all right, you got to do some cool character arcs. You know, make some cool decisions, and then I'll like you. But you're like, ooh, I like the way he looks. Yeah,
Jared's very obscure. He's very obscure.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I like it.
All right, Colin, what do you got as number 3?
Number 3, I mentioned it earlier. It's Darth Vader. I know. So all 3 of us have.
Well, I think Ryan, you have it higher, right?
Yeah, Darth Vader's my number 1.
We'll talk about him when we get to number 1.
Okay.
Ryan, who do you have as your number 3?
My number 3 is Yoda. Yoda. You seek Yoda.
Yeah, I don't have Yoda on my list.
I don't have Yoda as well.
Yeah.
You don't have Yoda.
I feel like the only adaptation I love of Yoda is in Empire and then the brief moment in Return of the Jedi. Because I think in the prequels I don't really like him in the prequels, if I'm being honest.
And Ryan, sell us on Yoda.
So Yoda, the first time I saw Yoda was in Empire Strikes Back, just as the puppet. The fact that it's a puppet and not CGI, it's just groundbreaking.
So he's such an awesome character.
Such an awesome character in Empire Strikes Back. He's my favorite teacher movie character of all time. I basically watched Yoda when I was a kid and just took every lesson he taught me. It's like, do or do not. There is no trying. I follow that motto every single day. So Yoda it's just an awesome character. Just every line Yoda says is important and impactful and teachable. And just to see his arc as, again, like in the original trilogy, the prequels, and some of the other Clone Wars shows, like it's a very popular character. Everyone loves Yoda. Mm-hmm. And I just think Frank Oz as the voice is just great. And to see Yoda as, again, pop up in Last Jedi was a great surprise. I love seeing Yoda in there, and it's actual Frank Oz Yoda, which makes it even better.
He's great in Empire. He's
so great in Empire. He's one of my favorite characters.
I guess just my problem is the prequels, because I just think he's just sitting in dark rooms saying cool stuff, but he's kind of overly serious. I like how goofy he is.
And his death in Return of the Jedi was impactful. There is another Skywalker.
Yeah.
Ryan, did you like him doing all the flippy floppies in Attack of the Clones?
Yeah, I enjoyed that when I was a kid, but then it's just like, oh, there's a lot of CGI. Well, that's kind of like the Emperor in Revenge of the Sith.
Well, that was actually kind of a cool moment. Two people in their prime, and just people completely on opposite ends of the spectrum, just trying so hard to accomplish something. It's probably the most like Yoda's ever cared for anything.
Yeah, I almost
in the original trilogy and the prequels, he's like sitting there doing nothing. So it was kind of cool to see him show some passion.
Yeah, I almost considered putting Palpatine in Yoda's place, but after Rise of Skywalker, because of I am the Senate. That's one of my favorite lines in Star Wars.
Yeah, that's a great line.
And then he does that spirally like. Oh my god! All right, number 2, and I think Colin's gonna hate me for this one because again, it's another one of those weird. They look cool, so I'm like, I'm sold. General Grievous.
I knew you were gonna put General Grievous.
That's not a bad pick because he does something like that's a cool character, like a dude who like collects lightsabers, like.
And I think that's why is like he's this weird kind of creepy, and I don't know all of his backstory. I'm sure people watching this, they know everything about him, but he's just like this guy that they found the organs to put him into this robot. He essentially has emphysema. He's smoking too much and coughing, and then he has all of the lightsabers, and he's just like, woo, 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 woo. And as a kid, however old I was, seeing that is crazy because, when you get the dual-sided lightsaber for the first time, that's crazy. But then when we get like more, I don't know, it was just visual and cool, and he's creepy, and he's run around like a spider dude. And again, tying back to Battlefront 2, playing as him, you run around the corner, you see him coming at you, you do not want to have anything to do with him.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, just 4 lightsabers coming at you. So yeah.
Obi-Wan coming out, hello there. And he's like,
yeah, he's like, Master Kenobi.
Yeah, he's a cool character. I mean, he's definitely not probably in my top 10, but cool character is much better than what's his name again? The lizard.
Bosk, man. Bosk is top 3.
And people are probably gonna think I'm not a true Star Wars fan, but sorry, I don't know a lizard that made a cameo in Empire Strikes Back.
You should watch Clone Wars. You should watch Rebels Episode 5.
Yeah, aren't you a true fan?
Yeah, whatever.
All right, Colin, what do you have as number 2?
I'm sure you guys probably have it here, and it's Obi-Wan Kenobi, man. Do you guys have him?
Didn't make my list.
Nope, didn't make.
He didn't make your list. Okay, so then I'll just gush about it.
I had to put a lizard in there instead.
Yeah, you put the guy who trained Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. Just leave him off the list for a lizard. He's out of here.
Yeah.
He's. What's great about this one is there's 2 adaptations of this character played by 2 different actors, and they're equally as great. I mean, you think of like Alec Guinness, who's fantastic in the role. And you're like, there's no way anybody can compete with that. And then you've got Ewan McGregor, who's amazing. Completely, it feels like they are the same character. It doesn't feel like with like Han Solo in Solo, and then Harrison Ford Han Solo. I feel like they're kind of different characters, and this one completely seamless. And what's cool about this one is basically a lot of Star Wars talk is, hating on the prequels and even the sequels. The original trilogy is a lot the best, even though there's been some prequel stands coming out later, which is a little odd. We didn't used to see that, but I think a lot of the Gen Zers are rising from the dead or getting older, I guess, talking about the prequels. But what's cool about this one is I might like Ewan McGregor's adaptation more because he just did the character more. And he's just a really solid Jedi. He's got the wisdom, probably not as wise, obviously, as Yoda, but he's very powerful, kind of like like Mace Windu and stuff like that. Which, by the way, Mace Windu is a horrible character. I hate Mace Windu.
Yeah, he has a purple lightsaber.
But Samuel L. Mother Jackson.
No, yeah, and Mace Windu is probably maybe one of my least favorite characters too. He just sits in rooms and just says stuff. Just stays in the rooms and talks and does things and does nothing. But Obi-Wan is just just a great Jedi. He's probably better Jedi than Luke, honestly, in my opinion. It's just cool. He's just a cool character. He's not overly, I guess, I don't know what the word is, kind of like a Boy Scout or something. Like he's got that cool edge to him. Yep. Like kind of not quite like Han Solo, but he's not like a full on like dweeb or anything. Like he's just a solid Jedi.
Yep. I'm curious. Are you excited for the TV show or whatever is happening?
Yeah, I am. Especially with I would have liked to have been a movie, but I think a miniseries is going to be pretty cool. And Deborah Chow is going to be directing it. She did some episodes of The Mandalorian, and I'm excited for it. I'm not looking for a lot of like the fan service. Some people want him to like fight Maul. Like I could care less. Like not that I don't like. I'm like against it. I just want them to tell a good story. Some people are like they got to do this, and this for it to be a good show. It's like just let her tell the story. Like chill out. Like
you think Qui-Gon could come back in the Obi-Wan series?
No.
Maybe as a ghost.
Yeah, maybe as a ghost.
As a cameo.
I actually like Qui-Gon Jinn. He's one of the few prequel Jedis outside of Obi-Wan Kenobi that I actually like. That I think he's actually a pretty good character. Actually,
yeah. I remember again from the prequels, I had just like all of the Lego sets. So it would be I had the one where it's Maul and Qui-Gon fighting in the desert. Yeah. All that crazy stuff. Ryan, what do you have as number 2?
Han Solo.
Han Solo.
Yeah, I have Han Solo.
Colin is number 1. Okay, we'll talk about Han Solo when we get back to Colin then.
Han Solo, because Harrison Ford. That's it. Han Solo in New Hope, what a badass introduction to the character right away. When he's sitting in the cantina talking with Obi-Wan and Luke, and with Chewie sitting at his side, best right-hand man, best friend for sure. It's just great just seeing Han Solo, his personality, his swagger, his charm, his charisma. And I just thought Harrison Ford was pitch perfect casting for Han Solo. And Han Solo, I think, has the best arc in the original trilogy because Han is the cocky guy. He's all about the money. He needs money because he's dealing with Jabba, of course. And then we get to the Han shot first thing. The best
he's got a great arc in just the first movie when he didn't want to do it for the money and then does it and helps out. Yeah.
Instantly kills Greedo, but I'm pissed that Colin, you got the better edition, right?
I saw him shot first. I never seen
first edition. Brag it up.
Yeah, brag it up, and it was awesome. He totally shot first and just walked it off.
I have to deal with and then on Disney Plus, it's like
well, and also he says McClunky.
Oh yeah, McClunky.
Yeah, he's the best character in the history of movies, in my opinion.
And then in Empire Strikes Back, he's the fact that Han Solo is such a badass in Empire Strikes Back. What do they do? What do they do when they get to Cloud City? They see Darth Vader. Han grabs his blaster and shoots it right at Darth Vader. And then he misses, obviously. And then
he did hit him, but he just hit him. Darth Vader just freaking blocked it.
The fact that he took his gun out and shot at Darth Vader, that is skills right there.
And that that scene where he is getting tortured. He's like going down, like about to get tortured by all those needles or something. And he did scream, but then he comes back in the room and he's like completely playing it off. Like he's definitely torn up, but he wasn't acting like a little bitch. Like he was like, dude, I'm the man of the group, man. I gotta take this L, and we're gonna win the next round, dude. He's like, and then he punches Lando in the face with basically no energy left. Like just the really coolest character. And like I said, the most underrated factor of Han Solo is that he's naturally gifted in the things that he's done. And even though he has that kind of gravitas and he's kind of too cool for school attitude, when he commits to something, he's all in. So when people don't do their jobs right, he's really frustrated with it. So I think that scene where he's like, it's getting dark outside. Why don't we go check on him? It's just such a cool, like, extra like sprinkle to the character, that extra flavor that I love about him. And then Harrison Ford playing the role just is the extra cherry on top. Yeah,
to quote Dan Morrow, without Han Solo, the galaxy would be doomed. And then in A New Hope, because if Luke didn't get that moment, that confidence to shoot at the Death Star, he would have died without Han Solo.
And he's given a great arc in Force Awakens too. We love to talk about the original trilogy, but in Force Awakens he's great. Maybe even given the most to do in that film, if you think about it, like how much he's given to do in that film, and just such a great character. And I love like
his brutal way to go out. And he got stabbed by his son. Wow, what a way to go out.
No bueno at all.
Poor guy.
All right, getting into number one. I mean, we kind of talked on what Collins was a little bit right there, but he'll throw some more on it. My number one is Lando Calrissian. I don't think either of you guys have it on your list, do you?
Honorable mention.
Honorable mention. Okay, yeah.
Love
I think
Lando.
Well, the combination, both Billy D and Donald Glover, like just smooth talk.
Donald Glover was great.
Picking up, Donald. I watched Solo a couple nights ago, and
he was the best part. Yeah, I like him.
He did exactly what Billy D did with kind of mispronouncing Han's name and all of that stuff, and he's just smooth talking. He dresses well. I'm curious. It would be cool to kind of see what he did in between that character in Solo and what we see on Cloud City, because I don't know, someone's probably going to correct me. Isn't that like 5 years or something like that?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It'd just be curious. I think
7. I think it was 7.
7 years. Okay.
I think. I don't quote me on that, please.
No, 5, 7, 2, 3.
Don't quote us on any.
Someone in the comments let us know.
It's gotta be in the comments. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, again, as a kid watching Empire, I was like, who is this guy? And then him coming in with saving the day and Return of the Jedi and all of that stuff. I think it's just because I just like the smooth talking character and kind of the backstory and everything that maybe he has going for him.
He's a good character. He's a great counterpart to Han Solo, kind of Han Solo-esque. So that's why I do like him. He didn't make my list, but a good honorable mention. I didn't like his character too much in The Rise of Skywalker. Nothing that he did wrong. I just think he was underutilized.
Well, they just threw him in. Hey, I'm in a tank.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm wearing the Adam Sandler Uncut Gems outfit.
Yeah, well,
they were wearing the same outfit.
Well, I think Adam Sandler was wearing his outfit.
Yeah,
but, it was
the yellow suit.
I think that just his introduction too, where he like is about to fake punch Han, and Han like goes like that, and then they like
he gives him a hug.
That's an underrated moment in Empire. Man, I'm gonna go watch Empire. I'll be right back.
Well, the thing is, just the small little character interactions like that tell you that there's so much history, or at least there's a lot of chemistry between these characters prior to what
they don't trust each other too. It's such a fun little dynamic, and
I love when he first sees Leia. Oh, hello.
Well, hello. Yeah, that's another thing. He is just so horny. Like that guy is just trying to have sex.
We love to have you
up here. He's so horny. He's trying to. He's very horny for sure.
Yeah. Colin, you're number one. I mean, we kind of talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, man. Han Solo, I've gushed about him enough. Probably not enough, honestly. Just it's such a good character. I won't take up too much time talking about it, but just everything about him, from like the outfits he wears is so dope. His gun, his blaster. I'm sorry, not his gun. Not his gun. His blaster. And just his arc, and like I said, Empire. He's probably has that best storyline. I mean, Luke has a really great storyline too. That's my favorite movie. Has the best moment in movies of all time for me, the "I love you, I know" sequence, and just a powerful scene there. And to me, he's it's crazy because he's my favorite character, but despite being he's not the main character, and but he steals every scene he's in. There's no way when Han, Leia, and Luke are all together, Han's not the coolest person there. You can't like anybody more than Han in that scene together, because he's just has the funniest lines. He's got the most gravitas and just funny bits to him. So there's no way them all together. You can't say he's not the coolest character.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not your favorite, but he's easily the coolest.
He's like you're saying, he's just an iconic character too, because you say the name, people know. You show an image, people know. You show an image of the gun, people know. And every year on Halloween, you at least see one or two people dressed up as him.
Yeah. I still have yet to. I was a big Captain America guy on Halloween. I think I wore a Captain America suit like 3 Halloweens in a row when I was little. But I need to jump on the Han Solo bandwagon for sure.
Oh yeah, be badass. All right, Ryan, what's your number one? General Grievous?
Yep. Man. Anyway, Darth Vader. Darth Vader, as you can tell. I love Empire Strikes Back, if you can't tell. I think Darth Vader has the best overall story in these movies. We saw him in, of course, the original trilogy, but we wanted to know more about the man behind the mask, Anakin Skywalker. Mm-hmm. When he shows himself to Luke, I am your father. And then that spawned the prequel trilogy, Anakin's storyline. Of course, we got Jake Lloyd from the start, and then we got Hayden Christensen. But once the Darth Vader mask went on, that's what we wanted to see. And I just think Darth Vader as an arc is so interesting, so layered, and it's the best villain introduction right off the bat with A New Hope. He comes right in the first 3 minutes of the movie, already wiping out the rebels, basically. It's basically the end of Rogue One, right into A New Hope.
I love how they did that.
I loved how they transitioned that. And then Empire Strikes Back. He's on top of everything. I love sequels that are dark and layered, where the villains are on top of their A game.
He's always like in his bag. Like he's always like ready. He's like, he's never satisfied. You know, he's just always grinding. You know what I mean?
And what a great boss. What a great boss. Just if you do something wrong, you're gonna die. If you lose somebody, you're gonna get choked and die.
We had when I used to be a waiter at a restaurant. I used to be a waiter at a restaurant. We had like for Halloween, I think I dressed up as I just wore like a Darth Vader-esque. Like I didn't do the whole thing. And one of the other coworkers was a stormtrooper. And I was like, if you mess up tonight, I'm gonna kill you. Because
and just open your eyes. Don't fail me again. Or if you don't like somebody, you can just do this. I find your lack of faith disturbing.
So good. And he's like the little just throne he sits on, and he's like in that little oh dude, it's so good.
Anytime he's in his business room, I'm shutting up. I don't want to die here.
And like you mentioned, the that quick scene from Rogue One, I think is just so wild to see how badass he is.
That was the best reshoot of all time.
That was fan service earned right there. That was nerdgasms 1000%.
Well, and also, they finally had the technology to do something like that.
Yeah,
you know?
like I wish, and there was always that rumor. Who knows if it was going to happen? But like there was going to be a battle scene in Solo where he's just like wrecking shop, like in the distance. That would have been cool to see. But again, a little fan servicey. For the character. But he was number 4 on my list. Colin, he was on your list too, wasn't he?
He was number 3 on
number
mine.
3. Yeah. So Ryan, number 1 for Darth Vader, just kicking ass and all that stuff. Plus, there's so much more to the character in, I believe, Rebels, Clone Wars, all of that stuff. I'm not familiar with that show. But yeah, he has a lot going for himself. So yeah, that is our top 5 characters. People that are watching, listening, let us know what your top 5 characters are in the comments down below. What are some honorable mentions that you guys kind of maybe missed?
Yeah, I know somebody's gonna comment, "Where's Ahsoka?" Well, we don't watch Clone Wars.
No, I don't. Do you guys have any honorable mentions? I know you guys mentioned a few.
Yeah, so for my honorable mentions, I had, Lando Calrissian, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Princess Leia. That's a great one to remember.
Yeah.
What was another one I missed?
I think Lando, Yoda,
Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon is a
He'll
good
be an
one.
honorable mention.
I think Princess Leia too.
Palpatine, despite Rise of Skywalker.
Dude, he might never recover from Rise of Skywalker.
Well, which one was he? Would
Forget
you
that even
him as a
happened.
person, him as a clone, him as Snoke? Like which iteration of him? You know?
Yeah.
All of the above. He's canceled on my end. Rise of Skywalker.
Just think of what he did in the prequels, man. I just loved how he set things up.
That was
Like,
good. Ewan McDermott is
it's great
actor.
as Palpatine.
I know that Colin, you had mentioned. Do you guys have any overrated ones? We don't have to do top. We don't have to do top 5, but just like what are some overrated ones you guys have?
What is the fascination with Boba Fett? I don't understand.
He looks cool, just like me and that lizard man.
Yeah, he has the one cool thing with Darth Vader, who's like, warning him not to go too far with this bounty, and then he falls in the pit, and that's kind of. I mean, he's got some cool dialogue in the "I love you, I know" sequence. Or scene rather, and that's kind of it. I mean, it looks cool. They even in the prequels they're like, oh, let's attempt to give him kind of a backstory, and then he's holding his dad's head, which ironically didn't fall out of the helmet for some reason. I'd like to see that. Maybe that would offer some more character development. He sees his dad's head.
It's
so he's
screwed
like,
in there.
Oh, another honorable mention, Chewbacca.
Oh yeah, we completely forgot about Chewie.
Yeah,
Chewie, man. Just like how he didn't get his medal until Rise of Skywalker.
Well, who's an underrated character people give too much hate? I think C-3PO. They say he's kind of annoying. I actually was always like C-3PO. Like his annoyance, I've replaced it for charm. I've replaced it for cuteness. Like I've always like him being annoying is just him caring too much, being just a nice droid that's offering probably too much information. But like people think like, oh, he's just comic relief, or he's just being annoying. And I've always like found it kind of charming, and I've always liked C-3PO.
I like him in the originals, not so much the sequels. How he's handled.
Yeah, I think in this newest trilogy, I think it was just kind of weird because he'd pop up and be like, "Hey, I have this red arm," and it's like, okay.
Yeah.
I mean that goes with everything kind of in that story and trying to pack it in and tie in with the comics and everything. I totally agree with those characters. I'm trying to think of weird off the beat ones that maybe just showed up. I don't know. Jabba the Hutt is kind of cool, but again, he goes out like a bitch.
I think he's overrated.
O'Toole, how's the special edition? How's the regular edition Jabba? Wow. Because
I don't know off the top of my head some overrated or just.
I think Rey's easily the most overrated.
Well, I think a lot of people hate on her, so I don't know if I'd say she's.
I
think at the start I loved Rey, but
Poe. I actually like Poe. Poe is underrated. Probably he's one of the good things about the sequel trilogy as well. I think his acting was always spot on. I think I actually like the way he wrote his character. Yeah. Just the scenes that they put him in, he wasn't given much to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, there was that whole thing that he was supposed to die in Force Awakens, and then people liked him or whatever. But no, I think that he's underrated.
Yeah, I didn't love Qui-Gon growing up. I just thought he was kind of boring, but I grew a fascination towards Qui-Gon. But other than that, that's really all I can think of.
Yeah, I can't really.
I don't think some more prequel people. I mean, off the top of my head, yeah.
Would you say Mace Windu? You said Mace Windu, right?
I hate Mace Windu. I think he's a terrible character.
I don't think he's overrated because no one really rates him that high, I guess.
But just like the only thing he did was that fight with Palpatine.
He got his arm
and that was cool. And he just, that was a kind of a cool sequence. But he just sat in rooms, just did stuff.
Samuel Jackson.
It was just overly serious. And I think one that's overrated. A lot of the prequel stands love her as Padme. I think she is not
I've never liked Padme. I
mean, I think she's very attractive. I'm not trying to say I like her as a character.
Natalie Portman.
I'm trying to think of some more as far as overrated or under. R2D2, I think, is an honorable mention. I think he's fun. BB-8, I actually quite enjoy. I actually like BB-8 a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Finn, I don't like. I'm not a fan of Finn.
They ruined Finn.
Finn had a great setup in The Force Awakens.
Great setup, awful ending.
You know who had the coolest setup and complete just garbage? Captain Phasma.
Oh, I don't think she had a good setup either. I think she was. They were
cool
trying to set her up.
Brianna
thrown into the trash.
You cast Brianna Tarth as Captain Phasma. That's how you end her off. What?
I don't know.
Because Finn had the high ground. What?
Yeah.
So
I think she was wasted, but I never people. I think Star Wars fans were like our own worst enemy because like sometimes I catch myself falling in this trap where other people convince me that this character deserves the hype. Like people are talking about Phasma like after The Force Awakens, like, oh, she could be the next Boba Fett, and I'm like, my first initial thought was so nothing because Boba Fett did nothing.
Nothing.
But she basically had this. If not a little bit more, honestly, she probably is a better written character than Boba Fett, but it's wildly less popular because she's just given more lines and stuff. But she's probably not as cool as Boba Fett. But people were like, "Ooh, she might be kind of a cool character." Like, I'm wondering what they'll do with the character, and I kind of fall in my trap. Like back in 2015, I was like, "Ooh, yeah, like kind of cool." And then they do nothing with the character. I'm like, why did I fall for this? I knew that they weren't going to do anything with this character. Yeah. They never do it. With these side characters.
I was expecting some cool action with her.
And you know what was cool? That fight between Finn and that stormtrooper, that where they're like fighting with, he's got the lightsaber and whatnot, and then the stormtrooper's got that like kind of like electric like
or whatever.
Yeah. That if they subbed out that character for Phasma, that would have been cool. They just missed an opportunity to not do that. I don't know why they did.
That's what they should have done because then it would have reinforced, all of their essentially relationship and the butting heads and everything like that.
Yeah.
Anyways, before we close out, guys, those are our, overrated, underrated top 5 characters. Let us know in the comments down below. Let us know, your love for Star Wars. We talked a lot about it. It's May the 4th. Let us know everything about that. If you grew up with Legos, let me know what Lego sets you had of Star Wars. I had plenty of those.
Lego video games?
Yes. Oh my gosh, Lego Star Wars. We didn't even touch the surface.
Oh, Lego Star Wars, man.
Star Wars.
Blast.
Man. Yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah, I played those so much. And then when they released the total saga, because it was just the 3 and then it was all of them and then even more and more. Oh my gosh. Whew. That brings back nostalgia. Sure. But before we close up, I want to, you guys give all your links and where people can find you. I want to ask you one last question. For someone that's maybe watching this, listening to this, that does love movies, that does love entertainment sphere and everything like that, that wants to maybe start a YouTube channel, that maybe wants to start a podcast, that maybe just wants to talk to someone about film and stuff, kind of give some advice on where they maybe start or how they get going. Because again, Colin, you're a fairly new kind of with a revamped thing. Ryan, you've been doing it for 4 years. You are doing it 4 years strong. Kind of give some people some advice.
Go ahead, Colin.
I have probably different advice than a lot of people, honestly, because I've seen a lot of YouTubers, and this is great advice. I'm not saying this is bad advice at all. They'll say things like, just start a channel, just start talking about movies. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm more of a planner, and I'm going to get equipment. I'm going to come up with my graphics and ranking screens and a format and a script that I want to follow throughout the thing. And I think that's kind of been the secret formula to some of the success I've had so far. So yes, initially, I do follow that mantra of just start it. If you love talking about movies, if you want to build a community on YouTube, start it. But do it. I would say proceed with caution a little bit. Have somewhat of a roadmap when we're talking about Star Wars, and we saw what happened when the sequel trilogy didn't have a roadmap. So maybe follow my advice. So have a roadmap and come up with just a little bit of trying to figure out what your style is. Maybe do a couple test episodes. Maybe just film some old reviews of I don't know, Indiana Jones or something like that, some old classic reviews, and just put it on private and tweak with it and stuff, and then be ready to launch, because you don't want someone's first impression of you to be bad quality audio and stuff like that. That's just my take on it. A lot of people would say something different, like just start it. And I think that is a good mindset to have, but I would try and launch with the best product you possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm basically a guy that's if you love doing something, if you want to talk about this, do it. Like, just do it. You don't have to have the best quality at the start. As you branch out, as you grow, then you can invest in stuff like cameras and lights and all that. But if you're someone, like Colin said, if you're into stuff like this, like lights and cameras, invest in the best stuff possible. And basically just talk from your heart, and when you turn on that camera, you're going to be shy and all that. So just be yourself. That's definitely the most important thing, is be yourself. I always say to anybody starting out a YouTube channel, branch out. Find people within your space. That's how I met Jared. That's how I met all these people that I collab with. I comment on people's videos. That's another piece of advice. If you want people to watch your videos, don't just force them to. Comment on their videos, then they'll comment on yours. That's how you build communities. Mm-hmm. Also collab with people within your subscriber base. Obviously, you don't collab with someone who's got more like 10,000 subscribers. You have to branch out.
I will say I did a collab with Sean Chandler, and he's got like 100 times the channel.
I
got lucky there.
You can shoot the moon.
I meant like 1 million or something like that. But anyway, I'm saying when you're starting out, find someone like you, and then branch out, and then just work your way up, and then trust me, your video's not going to be good when you start, but the more you do it,
that's the thing. It was like, like I said, I kind of contradict myself. I said like have a plan, but when I started out, like initially my videos sucked. So I guess more like I had a plan.
Then you went and
when I rebranded, I had a plan. I came up with I got the equipment, I got my setup, I've got everything, and I rebrand. So I guess there is room for improvement, and it's not like people are like, oh, wow, he sucked in the beginning, so I don't like him anymore. Like, they see my stuff now, and they accepted me or not accepted me. They've chosen they want to subscribe, but they don't want to subscribe. That's fine. But, yeah, do definitely what Ryan's saying. Start, but then down the road, be ready to grow and evolve and make that video. Challenge yourself, too. Come up with some other cool video ideas you can do. Put in that work, and have fun with it. If you're not having fun anymore, then stop doing it.
Yep. I'm so glad you talked about that, Colin, because I know that I was following other people's stuff, and there was videos I just wasn't having fun with, so I completely stepped away from that, and now I'm doing what I feel comfortable with. So yeah, all of you guys,
like the video essays I was doing, I was like, I don't like doing this. I'm gonna stand in front and behind a bunch of movie posters and just talk about it, because that's more my style.
And see, that's the thing, is like, you may look at other people and it may work for them. It's not going to work for you. Try things out. Like Colin said, have things planned. Like Ryan said, find people in the community. I will say, when you comment on other people's videos, do not say, here's mine. Like, I stay away from that, where it's like, don't link drop in people's comments. That's my own opinion, and maybe it works for other people. Who knows? Mm-hmm. But yeah, great advice all around, guys. Fantastic episode. Star Wars, love for that. Your guys' podcast. Plugs, let people know where they can find your channel and then also your podcast.
Well, thank you so much, Jared, for having us on.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, man. This was a blast. It was great to have you on our podcast as well. Like Jared said, the Fallen for Film podcast on my channel. New episodes drop every Monday, so the next episode drops tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we talk all the newest trends in movie news, do fun top 5 list games, and just other movie-related stuff on there.
Yeah, we did Boom or Bust with Jared. And
Boom or Bust.
We realized that we're awful at box office.
Yes, we were terrible at box office. But anyway, besides the podcast, if you want to check my channel out personally, I do movie reviews. I do ranking videos, Blu-ray hauls every single month. Do all the stuff Jared and Colin does. So come check me out. And thanks again, Jared.
Absolutely. Colin, what about you?
Same. He kind of plugged our podcast, so I won't go there too much, but I am the co-host on Ryan and I's podcast, the Fallen Film Podcast, so check us out there. And then you can just follow me on social media. I'm really active on it. I'm always like tweeting and stuff. So on Twitter, I'm Colin Williams MR. On Instagram, I'm Colin Williams Reviews. If you want my first initial reaction, new or old movie I ever see, I'm on Letterboxd at CWilliams991. first reaction for any movie I ever see. You can find my thoughts there. And then just look up my YouTube channel, Colin Williams. It's going to be Colin Williams. You can see the name right there. Just look me up. It's a guy that looks like me and talks about movies. So click on that channel and watch those videos if you want to.
Find a different Colin Williams that does not look like this guy, you are at the wrong place. Don't worry, everyone that's
you are
watching, check the description. Your guys' stuff is going to be down below. Thank you guys for joining me for this podcast. Again, you guys had me on yours. That was wonderful. This was great. And if you could see my notes, I have about half a page to a whole page of stuff we didn't even get to. So we'll have to come back to that in a later date, obviously.
Yeah, and we'd like you as a guest on again too. So
absolutely, and down the road.
Cool. Anyways, guys, that is episode 20 of Movies and Nonsense. Colin, Ryan, thank you guys so much, and we'll see you guys next week.